Hi, my name is Alissa Timoshkina. I'm a food writer and cookbook author and also a former film historian. I'm very honored and really excited to be able to share this selection of films, and I'm really grateful to Klassiki for inviting me to take part in this wonderful initiative. So the films that I have curated all share a common theme, and they are engaged with the subject of the past, the traumas of the past, the subject of war and our identity, and how the memories and histories of war and traumatic events form our sense of self today. The first film that I have chosen is an animation by a Soviet Jewish filmmaker, Yuri Norstein. The film is called The Tale of Tales, and it is widely considered as an absolute classic in the history of world animation. To appreciate the film, you really need to disengage your critical thinking mind and logical thinking mind and embrace it more as a sensual, emotional experience. It is similar to viewing, or rather experiencing, a dream. There is some kind of an internal logic that guides the sequence of images that you see, but at the same time, it sort of crumbles apart as soon as you start trying to logically analyze it. Norstein has been celebrated for his innovative animation techniques, and even though the film was made in the late 70s, it still feels so unique. The second film that I have chosen is a feature film by a Georgian filmmaker, Tengiz Abuladze, called Repentance. The film came out in 1984 and would have perished in the Soviet censorship machine were it not for the upcoming policies of Gorbachev era known as Perestroika and Glasnost. And the film was taken off the censorship shelf thanks to the work of a special committee, a rescue committee that has brought to us so many wonderful films from the Soviet era that would have otherwise perished. Abuladze's film is a tour de force. It's an daring and brilliant surrealist exploration of the nature of totalitarian regimes. Abuladze uses a brilliant, a macabre narrative device of a corpse that refuses to be laid to rest. And the character of that corpse is a composite character, sort of a meditation on the biggest dictators of the 20th century. You see elements of Mussolini, of Hitler, of Stalin in him. The film is so rich with beautiful surrealist scenery and symbolism, but at the same time it's full of that surrealist sort of daring humor, and it's dark, but it's funny, it's deeply spiritual, it's deeply symbolic, and deeply moving. If you have never seen this film, I think you really are in for an unforgettable viewing experience. The third film in my collection takes us all the way to the 2000s, and it's a film, a debut work by a Armenian director, Maria Saakyan. The film is an autobiographical work that explores her experience of the war in the Caucasus. The film, being made by a debut filmmaker, is full of that new, young, creative energy. It is very innovative in its use of music, sound in general, of the use of archival footage, the use of non-professional actors. The film was shot on location in Armenia, using both really well-known, real sort of iconic actors from Georgia and Armenia, but at the same time using non-professional locals. I saw the film for the first time when it premiered at the London Film Festival, and also had the joy of meeting Maria in person. Very tragically, Maria passed away over 10 years ago now. She had 4 children, and she was a really beautiful person, full of wonderful creative energy and warmth. So it's absolutely heartbreaking knowing that she won't be able to make films anymore, but at the same time, I'm really pleased that you will be able to see this film and that Klassiki was able to source it and introduce you to her work. It's a rather rare film that you don't really get to see widely. The final film that I have chose for my collection is a 2013 work by Paweł Pawlikowski called Ida. It actually is an Oscar winner, so it's perhaps the most well-known of the 4 films in my selection. Similarly to all of the films that I've been talking about, Ida explores themes of national trauma, of the legacy of the war and the Holocaust, and the questions of how the past shapes our identity. And it's a story of a quest, of an identity quest that takes the protagonist back into the socialist past of Poland, into the traumatic history of Second World War and the Holocaust, the persecution of the Jews, and also poses a question of what choices do we have when we're dealing with this history in the present? How do we move forward from it? It's a really beautiful story. It is very delicate. It is beautifully feminine, even though it is shot by a male director. The protagonist is played by a non-professional actress, and she is absolutely captivating, vulnerable, yet so full of inner strength and determination. It is an open-ended film, and I think in that way it invites the viewer to really engage with what's happening and really continue carrying that film with you long after the viewing itself is over.